Is that, who's that provided to? Is that public information?
Yes, and it's put into an annual report that the task force puts out every.
Okay.
And just as a reminder, we're planning an Allen application this fall. We're planning for the week of September 29th. So it'll be the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 29th through October 2nd. It'll be conducted just as any have been done in the past. But as I noted, I'm gonna have Chief Guy out there doing additional monitoring the lake just to make sure that our water quality parameters are in range, that there's no existing toxicity in the lake, things like that. And that's what I got. I think you guys might be more interested in what John and Chris have to say, but I think just give an overview of the program doing. Do you have any questions for me?
Rick, I have one question.
Sure.
On slide 10, you can show the different nutrient levels, and it looks like it's always, the nutrient levels seem to be higher in spring than the fall.
Yes.
So why do we need to do 2 treatments every year if that's the case?
Well, what we're trying to do in the spring, we're trying to knock down all the algae or all the nutrients may have come in over the winter. So our goal is to try to time the application to after the spring storms are completed. It's been harder the past couple of years because we've had a lot of storms in March, April. But so the goal in the spring is to knock it down, to knock out a lot of what came in over the winter, to take it out of the water column, to have it settle at the bottom, so that going into the summer, we should have, the lake should be pretty free of algae.
Low in the fall, why would you do a fall?
Well, the fall, we're doing the fall one to basically to keep it low. We're trying to, I think that's the best way.
Yeah, I can fill in a little bit there. So during the summertime, the lake stratifies, right? So you get this bottom layer that'll build up nutrients in it in the anoxic zone. And then come say October, early November, the lake destratifies and all those nutrients would come up into the water column. So we want to hit that before that happens. It's usually the end of October, beginning of November-ish, yeah.
So that alum falls through the water column, right? And it's sort of grabbing phosphorus as it goes and it brings it down to the sediments. So you're decreasing that pool that's just waiting for the turnover. So, yeah.
What's the impact on fish?
We'll talk about that. No, we don't have any indication it's directly causing any fish. I mean, there's been plenty of testing to determine the concentrations itself aren't toxic to fish.
And just note, I think alum's been applied around the world, around the country for at least 40 years. And there's lots of studies they've done, and there haven't been impacts to aquatic life from when you're applying it at the proper dose.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you.
No?
Okay. Apparently there's a mic on here, so
Oh.
gotta move this over here so you guys can hear us better. All right, can you guys hear me okay in the back? Yeah, okay. So yeah, I just wanted to give a brief update. As many of you know, we were here a couple of months ago, kind of right in the midst of when the big fish kill was happening here, and had a lot of comments. And so we wanted to come back and give you guys a brief update on kind of where we stand at the moment. And so that's what this presentation is all about, is to give you a brief history of what happened and all of the testing and kind of where we are at this point. So briefly, just to give you a little bit of background. So the fish kill, as you all know, started back in April. Right around the middle of April. April 19th is actually the first call that I got that there were fish showing up on the lake. Started in Eastern Arm. Within about 2 to 3 weeks, the fish kill started to happen in the main body as well. We were called early that Monday morning, the 22nd. We were out on the 23rd, the next day, to go out and start collecting some samples. And then we were on basically a bi-weekly schedule after that, until the fish kill started to subside, and then we started to go to a monthly schedule after that. But our first day was out there was April 3rd. This was only about 4 days after the fish kill really started. There was lots of different types of fish, as you all know. I have a few of them pictured here. We had crappie, carp, bass, shad, all over the place. On the first day we were out, which again was just a few days after the fish kill started, we collected a lot of water quality parameters that we felt are a lot of times the usual suspects when you're talking about fish kills on a lake. So we looked at ammonia, we looked at dissolved oxygen, we looked at sulfides, we looked at aluminum, as Rick was alluding to. And then one of the other things we looked at was algae speciation. So what types of algae are in the water column? We collected those on April 23rd. Nope, not yet. Go back. Yeah, there you go. Then about a month later, we were out. We did the same exact thing. We collected water quality. So I'm talking about dissolved oxygen, temperature, pH, conductivity, those types of things. Again, we're looking at algae speciation here as well. Then starting on June 11th and then June 25th, July 9th, July 31st. During that span, we collected one more additional thing beyond those initial things that I talked about, which was toxicity. So we started doing what's called bioassay toxicity testing with fathead minnows. I'm not sure if many of you are familiar with those, but it's an EPA approved toxicity test that's done in a laboratory where you expose these tiny little 24-hour-old little fish to whatever water sample you want to test, and you're looking at survival. We were testing what's called an acute endpoint, which is really you're just looking at survival only. There are other tests where you can look at chronic, longer-term tests, but given that the fish kill was actively happening here at the time, we wanted to know what is the survivability of these little fathead minnows in a laboratory test with water collected from Canyon Lake. So on those 4 dates, we collected those samples as well as algae speciation and all the other parameters I already mentioned. It just so happened that on the week prior, so April 17th, so this is before the fish kill started, we were out here for our routine TMDL monitoring. We're out here on the lake bi-monthly collecting nutrient samples. We're collecting things like ammonia, sulfides, again, aluminum, as Rick mentioned, as part of the alum monitoring program, and many other parameters as well. And it just so happened, we didn't plan it this way, but we were out there 2 days before the fish kill started. And so we have a lot of data before the fish kill to look at were there any things that may be present in the water that caused this fish kill. So we looked at those two. And again, looking at the usual suspects, ammonias can be highly toxic to fish as well as sulfides, and aluminum, at high enough doses, can be toxic to fish as well. So we looked at those. So those are the things we collected, kind of the timeline as well. And I'll have a little update on some further monitoring that we did here a little bit further on in the presentation. So if you go on. So just quickly moving to the results here. And kind of going through each of those, again, usual suspects that we see in some fish kills across lakes across the United States. Dissolved oxygen, that's usually the number one thing that causes fish kills in lake. While we were out there, both prior to the fish kill and every single monitoring event after the fish kill, when you looked at dissolved oxygen, it was never an issue. Within the top 3 to 4 meters of the water column, it was always very high dissolved oxygen. Now, once you get below that, say 5, 6, 7 meters, you do see the dissolved oxygen start to drop, and that's typical for a lake. As I was mentioning, the lake stratifies during the summertime, and you will see lower dissolved oxygen as the sediment starts to use up either through chemical oxygen demand or biological oxygen demand. It will use up the oxygen in that bottom layer. But we have lots of water column on top of that, which is just fine and perfectly fine for fish to be able to survive in. So that really wasn't a smoking gun. We looked at ammonia toxicity. That was always below any sort of threshold that's known to be toxic to fish. We looked at sulfide, same thing, always below known thresholds as toxic to fish. So those two are ruled out. Aluminum, again, we collected aluminum right before the fish kill started, just as part of our normal routine monitoring. We collected it after the fish kill had started. Those also were below any sort of threshold for at the pHs that we collected them at, because this can be highly pH dependent toxicity for that. Wasn't an issue below any sort of known threshold. However, the speciation of algae did show something, and that's what I'm showing you here on the graph that's on the right-hand side. This is a graph that shows you the bars that you see there. Those are the algae concentration. So that's the density of golden algae cells per milliliter of water we collected. Along the bottom, you got the various dates that we collected. So the axis that's on the left-hand side, the left axis or y-axis, that's the density of algae. What you see on the right-hand side and corresponds to the green round circles, that's the fathead minnow toxicity. So we were collecting algae density as well as fathead minnow toxicity samples all in the same water and testing them independent of one another. And what you'll see, as you saw on April 23rd, as this first started, we had a relatively lower concentration, if you will, of golden algae, somewhere around, say, 3,000 to 4,000 cells per mil. But then it spiked. So May 23rd went up. June 11th went up to its highest point, and then you saw a big drop off once we get to June 25th, and then July 9th came up a little bit. By July 31st, we didn't detect them in the water at all. And then just last week, we collected some more water on August 26th. We saw a little bit of an increase, but still very low, right around 200 cells per mil, pretty low. Now, what you'll notice is you see almost an inverse relationship between the golden algae density and the fathead minnow toxicity. So on the right-hand side, that's percent survival of the minnows that were still alive in the laboratory test. So if you see a green circle is up at the top, 100% survival, the fish survived just fine in those samples. The lower the circle gets, the more toxicity you saw. So what you'll see is the higher the bar is, the lower the circle is. And so essentially what I'm telling you is that the higher the density of the algal cells we got in the water, the more toxicity we're seeing in the laboratory. And also, just coincidentally, once we saw that drop off in algae between June 11th and June 25th, that's about when the fish stopped dying in the lake as well. And so we saw a very good correlation between the golden algae density in the lake and the fish toxicity we're seeing in the lab, as well as fish dying in the lake.
Tipping point between June and July that caused the fathead minnow survivability percentage to decrease to almost zero.
Between the 11th and the 25th?
Yeah.
So it's just that the algal density dropped a lot. So we went from somewhere up around a mean of say 12 to 16,000 cells per mil down to somewhere less than 2,000 cells per mil. And the toxicity went almost away. And then once we get down to the end of the graph on the far right, the algae density is very, very low, and you see 100% survival in the fathead minnow lab tests.
You see that July 9th sample, it bumped up in algae density a little bit, and the toxicity came back. So we did see it reverse on that date. So there's probably a threshold somewhere around there as far as the number of cells. That's kind of what we're estimating, 3,000 cells per mil is probably a threshold.
And that 3,000 to 5,000 cells per mil, could be lake specific. I mean, I've seen numbers in the literature that say, well, you need 10,000 cells per mil, or you need 15,000 cells per mil. And I've seen others, well, somewhere around 1,000. So it's kind of lake specific and water chemistry specific as far as the toxicity that you'll find. But it seems for Canyon Lake anyway, what we're seeing from this data, somewhere in that 3,000 to 5,000 cell per mil range is where we started to see the toxicity. Okay. Oh, and then one more thing on this last point for this slide was that when we were testing these samples for the fathead minnow toxicity in the laboratory, we took that same sample that we tested unfiltered and we filtered it with a 6-micron filter, which is about the size you can see up on the top there. That's a picture of golden algae, the top left picture. They're about 10 microns. So we were using a 6-micron filter. We were able to filter out the algae out of the sample, and the toxicity went away. So one more piece of evidence that shows that this golden algae really was the culprit of this fish kill. Okay. And then this is just a little anecdotal thing. Every time we're out and we're collecting samples for golden algae, we're taking pictures while we were there. You can kind of see the color progression, right? Over on the far left, you see it's more of a kind of a golden brown color. And then May 23rd and June 11th, you can see a little bit even more brown. And then that big drop off I mentioned, you can see a color change, right? Between June 11th and June 25th, starts to turn more green. And then the further you get out to the right, it's starting to turn more green or more blue as you go along. And this corresponded exactly with what we saw the golden algae density in the field in our samples. So just a little anecdotal information to kind of show, yeah, I think we know what happened here. So what's next? So as we were kind of progressing through this, we're at the very beginning, June 27th. So this is about a couple months into, we had, actually about 3 to 4 weeks prior to that, we were asked by the POA and by EVMDD to put together a review of what are potential strategies that we could take to deal with golden algae and just algae in the lake in general. And so we put together a document that was called Review of Potential Canyon Lake Golden Algae Management Strategies. That was given to the board to the Canyon Lake POA and EVMDD on June 27th. And this is when the fish kill was still actively happening on the lake. In that, we put together long-term strategies and short-term strategies. What do we need to do right now to contain golden algae? And longer term, what do we need to do to help prevent this happening again, or just cyanobacteria in general from coming in greater densities in the lake? So we put together this document. It was decided that among the group, the technical group that we got together on a weekly or biweekly basis, that we were going to move forward with a chelated copper algicide dose to knock down the golden algae to stop the fish kill. So as a result of that, we had to put together a aquatic pesticide application plan, which is a document required by the state water board whenever you're going to be applying an algicide to a lake. So EVMDB fortunately already had one of these. to apply directly around their intake to the water treatment plant near the dam. But the APAP, the pesticide plan, was only applicable to that part. So we took that document, revised it so it could be applied to the whole lake, and it got submitted and was accepted by the water board. And we went ahead and put together a costing plan, what's it going to take to treat the lake with copper, chelated copper, which is the most effective strategy we found to knock down the golden algae. Put together some costing plans. This was all by July 23rd. As you can see there, the lake-wide water treatment for this copper was about $335,000 to treat the lake, the whole lake. This is for two different applications, about 2 weeks apart. This was going to be to knock down the golden algae from the lake and stop the fish kill. Of course, there's some monitoring that goes along with that to make sure you're not applying too much copper. That was an additional about 17,000. But just so happened that right after that plan got submitted, we saw the lake densities drop, and the golden algae densities went down to very, very low. And so we put that copper treatment on hold. So that copper treatment never moved forward at that point because we saw the golden algae, the fish kill had stopped, the golden algae densities were down to near zero. And so we put that on hold. Now, currently, what we're doing, we had kind of said this at the previous meeting that golden algae tend to prefer cooler water, a little bit higher salinity. So we thought as the summer started to progress, the water warmed up, we would probably see the algae go away, which is in fact, that's what happened over time. So we held off on the copper treatment, did not apply that. Currently, what we're doing is we're putting together an lake-wide algicide treatment and monitoring plan that we're currently drafting out of right now. Okay, what do we do moving forward? Because once you get golden algae in the lake, there's a certain probability that's going to come back again at some point. So we need to stay on top of what kind of golden algae densities we're seeing in the water column and have some sort of plan in place. What are we going to do when the densities reach a certain level? Are we going to hit it with an algicide? Are we going to do something else to keep those numbers down? So that's what we're doing now, putting that together. We're going to submit it to the board and to EBMDD and get their comments on it and then move forward from there. So we'll have a plan moving forward. If this does happen again, we'll be able to proactively get in front of it. And that is that. That's a really quick overrun of where we are today. The lake looks much better. Like I mentioned just last week, no toxicity in the lake at all, very low algal densities. So I think we're in a good place as of right now. Yeah.
I can add to just one final point there. The copper treatment, those chemical treatments are generally seen as a quick fix. It's not a permanent solution. The idea is to try to avoid chemicals because they can build up over time and cause unintended consequences. But it could be a useful proactive tool as part of a monitoring program to keep an eye on the algae over time. If we see it at a threshold, it might be, that time to go and hit it to try to knock it quickly down. But at the same time, the TMDL task force is actually contracting us to come up with a whole list of short-term and long-term options for Canyon Lake that include everything from chemical treatments to hypolimitic oxygenation and mixing of the lake and other technologies. So we're reviewing those right now and putting a document together that will have a longer term, both short term and long term plans. That's just an awareness that that's in the works right now too. And that was kind of pushed up. That was going to be a task for 2026, but it was because of the fish kill and everything that's happened, it put a little pressure on that to go ahead and fund that and get it going. So that's also in the works right now too.
Questions?
Okay. The copper chelated, does it have any effect on the algal treatments? Example, can you not do a algal treatment because you did a copper treatment, or are they totally related? So could you substitute the copper for the algal? So we don't have to do all.
There you go. They're two different purposes for those. The copper is going to be specifically killing the algae. And the alum is specific to just reducing phosphorus. It has no effect on that direct toxicity to the algae. It actually can coalesce the algae and pull some of that algae out of solution. So it does bind it and bring it down. But they have two different purposes. Normally, the recommendation, we did actually have a discussion about this, that it would be best to keep those treatments a couple weeks or more apart from each other to avoid confounding factors, unintended consequences, and also to allow us to monitor effectiveness. It's going to be hard to know what happens if you throw multiple chemicals at the same time. Right, good question. Yeah.
Yes.
Question, do you think your plan and the funding will be in place in case the golden algae
comes back up. Typically, would you think the golden algae with the colder climates, would it be fall or springtime? Do you think, your plant will be able to be implemented at that time if it comes back?
Yeah, I believe so. I mean, we were ready to go back in May or June, right, when we were supposed to put this plan together, and we stopped it. So, yeah, we were talking with many of the board members here in EBMWD to move forward with that.
I think the funding is still a big concern. The general approach has been outlined.
Right.
That's a discussion that needs to happen amongst the various government agencies and boards. I do have a question. Will copper adversely impact the fish population?
No, copper is something that's used nationwide on lakes across the nation for issues just like this. So applied in the right doses by a certified applicator doesn't really pose an issue short term.
Yeah, it's the application rate, but yeah, it's if you added too much copper, it can kill fish. It is a toxicant, so but it just needs to be put in the right doses, yeah. And that's what there's plenty of protection with the concentrations that are used to knock down algae to not kill the fish.
But just to kind of come back in layman's terms, that it's toxic enough to kill the algae, but it's not so toxic it will kill the fish.
Right.
What you're saying?
Correct.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, so algae are more sensitive. Correct, yeah.
So given where we are right now, with the rough spring and over the rough summer, appreciate all that you've done and also the EMWD, the partnership and created to work through this. We greatly appreciate that. So our fish population has been decimated. Obviously, as a result, we talked about restocking. Give us your advice on timing, or should we wait till how things go a little bit? What kind of guidance can you provide us on that?
Want to go forward?
Sure. That's one of the reasons we've been doing the toxicity tests as well. So, for example, the last sample that we just collected a couple weeks ago did have some golden algae in it, 300 or so per mil, which isn't that concerning, but we would have a hard time knowing if it's toxic without doing the lab toxicity tests. So it's nice to have those tests confirming that it's not killing fish. So we probably want to get another round in. That would be my suggestion, just to make sure we have stability. We don't have any up and downs with the golden algae. We don't expect the golden algae, now that it's warmed up, to be coming back right now. We do want to keep a close eye on it in this, in the fall. So that's when we're going to keep a closer eye on it. We've seen lakes that, a lot of lakes have had a bloom and then they haven't had a bloom for years and years and years. Menifee Lakes is an example, where it killed the fish and it just hasn't popped back. Lake Elsinore had a kill that happened and it hasn't come back. We just don't know. So we just need to keep a close eye on it for sure. But I would say, because you're spending a fair bit of money to put the fish in the lake, you want to have some comfort that you don't have a bloom that could happen.
Thank you. Jones?
Nice job, guys.
Yeah.
That 35,000 cells density, and corresponding to the toxicity. So is it possible that the adult fish are gonna have a higher tolerance than the larval fish that you tested with, and would it make it an effective screening threshold for the lake? It'd be protective of the adult fish, but we would see it coming when the larval fish started to die.
I would think so.
Yeah, very good point. I think, those tests are specifically meant to test a very sensitive life stage, as you know. And so the fish that start those tests, like I mentioned, are 24 hours old, right? They've just been hatched. So it's one of the more sensitive life stages, obviously. So the adult fish are going to be a little bit more tolerant. But yeah, to be on the conservative side, I would say that's probably a good idea to go with that lower threshold. Yeah.
So Joe's a toxicologist. We know him from his prior life. So he knows what he's talking about. That's great. So, yeah. I was going to add to that, though. The one thing that is unique about this algae, it produces a toxin, not necessarily all the time. So sometimes it may or may not. It's been kind of hypothesized that a lot of the algae start to produce toxins when they're under stress or when they're dying. But the golden algae is a little extra special because it actually physically attaches to substrate and fish in the gills. So these guys are pretty evil little algae species. They have this little, looks like a screw on them that actually can be embedded within the fish and then within the tissue. So you have not only a toxic effect, but a physical effect as well, especially when they get in the gills because it affects their breathing. So if you see fish that are affected by golden algae, that is a neurotoxin, you'll see them acting strange. They'll be swimming in circles. They might be trying to escape the lake. So there's other signs that it's a golden algae that's causing it. So it's a pretty mean little algae species.
Yeah, the way it works is it prevents oxygen from passing across the gill membrane effectively. So the fish are actually suffocating, even though there's plenty of oxygen in the water. The toxin actually blocks that transfer of oxygen across the gill membrane. So sometimes you might see fish gasping at the surface, like looking like they need oxygen, but there's plenty there.
And just a follow-up,
Yep.
moving greenhouse won't stand things.
No, no, they don't have that. They don't have that kind of effect. I mean, yeah. Whereas golden algae really, there really is no harm to humans for golden algae. Reverse, cyanotoxins. Yes, there is definitely a health hazard for people and pets, but not so much for fish unless you get to super, super high concentrations with those guys.
Yeah, I think the primary issue with cyanotoxins for fish is when they die and they suck up the oxygen. So it's kind of a secondary effect, not so much a direct toxic effect. So yeah, two different mechanisms for the different species.
John, is there a visual aspect of the golden algae with the fish gills?
Yeah, so his question was, is there any sort of visual symptom that we could see on the fish? And yeah, he's right. So one of the things that you'll see sometimes is you'll see normally fish gills are kind of a mild pink color. A lot of times when you get a golden algae and the toxin affects the gills, they get bright red, like the shirt back here on this gentleman. And sometimes you'll see redness around the edges of the fins as well. So yes, you will see that. Not all the time though. So yeah, and getting back to the point that Chris was mentioning earlier, sometimes with these algae cells, you just don't know because you can have very high concentration of algae, but they're not producing a toxin, so there's no fish diet. And vice versa. You can see lower levels, but they are producing a toxin and you have a fish kill. So it's a very dynamic and fluctuating type situation that we really need to stay on top of moving forward.
One last question there, you guys, what's this limiting it? Golden algae? East Bay is tested for columns and salt contact, this is great, the main lake. I know that it's called salt free for a reason.
Yes.
Coming down and East Bay much harder than the main lake.
So East Bay is a little bit more saline than the main bay. So we test something called specific conductivity, which is actually a surrogate for salinity. TDS is another factor, total dissolved solids is another way to measure that. But yes, it is a little bit more saline, but we're not talking, like marine water. It's pretty low. It's still fresh water, but it's kind of on the verge of being brackish versus not. And golden algae are known to prefer more brackish conditions, slightly saline conditions. Normally, we don't see them in lakes that are this fresh. Typically, you need like our salinity or conductivity we were seeing here in East Bay was just kind of breaching 1,000 microsiemens per centimeter, which is the way we measure that. Normally, you'd see some up like 1,500, 2,000, 2,500. So maybe double what you're seeing at Canyon Lake. So it could be that the golden algae strain we're seeing here is a little bit different than you've seen in other lakes as well. So we just don't know. It's a highly, difficult area of science. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Then I grew in the main lake, I'm just wondering, started the East Bay.
Yes, it did start at East Bay. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like just a couple quick questions. First of all, thank you for your knowledge and your guidance for our board. Water company, it's not really to have somebody that knows what they're doing when you take a look at it. Not quite so involved. My understanding, he takes the organics, phosphates and things out of the water column and takes it to the bottom.
Mhm.
Do they then remain active even though they're on the bottom, or do they kind of self-neutralize?
So, so alum is really effective at binding phosphorus in particular. And often that's the limiting nutrient for algae in lakes. Sometimes it's nitrogen. But it forms a pretty insoluble bond. That means that bond is so tight that when it gets down to the sediments, it stays within the sediments. And the repeated applications actually are kind of building this layer on the sediments over time. That's something that we actually want to reevaluate with the next kind of evaluation of technologies and treatments for the lake, is to see how well that sediment is retaining the nutrients and the phosphorus in particular. So kind of that's the hypothesis and the theory. Mhm.
This long-term, being able to use through alum, is that a forever fix, so we can just do it for the next 100 years? And it's fine, or is it some point that it's gonna have to be treated or removed, or,
Mm.
something? What would be the next step if anything worried about?
Well, the good thing with alum is that it's aluminum, which is one of the most common elements on Earth. So it's
8%.
yeah, it's yeah,
8% of
it's
the Earth's
the
crust.
biggest part of the Earth's crust actually. So you're not adding something that's detrimental or that's a chemical that's going to be building up over time that you're really concerned with. So that's the good news too. There are questions over longevity, like, is it really permanently bound, or it could get stirred up with sediments getting moved around and things like that. So we don't definitely know there's some dynamics that happen. And also the reason the alum is applied on a regular basis is because, as discussed, even though that it's pretty bound up down there, maybe at the bottom, you still have this buildup of nutrients over time from watershed inputs and just from the rest of the sediments throughout the entire lake too. There's still enough in there to build up to concentrations in the water, which are actually relatively low compared to the sediments, but enough to turn into an algae bloom if they were to get up at the surface. So you're kind of constantly managing this relatively low concentration of phosphorus below a level that is going to promote blooms happening. So it's a delicate balance, but a good percentage of the nutrients and the phosphorus does still come from the sediments. What we need to do again is reevaluate after these years of treatment. Is that something maybe we can back down on the aluminum, the alum treatments, because it's formed us a good cap? Or is enough material and sediment coming in to the system, which we do know that happens, that it's something that you do have to continue to add to over time? So it's a good question though,
No, great job. For your time and your recipe, we appreciate that.
Yeah. Great, thank you, Doc.
All right, next,
Yeah. Good job. Thanks, Eric. Thank you. Great job. So. We're gonna kick her off soon. Right. That's there, right now we're using audio from this. Oh, just to get it online here. Okay.
Yes. Hey, it works.
Test. Working. Testing 1, 2, 3. Okay, we're good to go. It's a miracle. Good job.
It's like old man.
It's a miracle. It was the warmer weather that did it.
All right. So again, Greg, why don't you lead us off with our member of the month, please?
It is my honor tonight to lead the presentation for Member of the Month for Janine Schrufer, sitting over there next to Paul in the corner. Janine was born in Kansas City, Missouri, and shortly thereafter, her family relocated to the Los Angeles area. She graduated from Lakewood High School, where she demonstrated her early leadership skills by becoming the president of the Girls Athletic Association. Time passed, and Janine bought her first house in Canyon Lake, actually built her first house in Canyon Lake in 1976, almost 50 years ago. In 1989, husband Hal and Janine moved into their second home in Canyon Lake and took several vacations to spots in Mexico, including Cabo San Lucas, Acapulco, Puerto Vallarta, and Mazatlan. After 19 years with ConAgra Foods, She became active, and by that time she was active in, she retired, and then by that time was active in several Canyon Lake groups. Among them, the Mexican Train Group. She was on the Senior Center Board in charge of membership. She was on the Thursday Work Group, helping set up and clean up activities such as the boutique. And she was a member of the Chair Volleyball Club. In fact, I think she was one of the founding members of the Chair Volleyball Club. Is that correct? That's correct. Okay. She managed the Senior Center Christmas party from 2004 until her recent retirement from that activity. So a little over 20 years she ran the Senior Center Christmas event. Janine was also a member of the Recreation Committee for many years, I think since 2015 or thereabouts. And that's where I got to know her. And I got to know her, among other reasons, because of her drill sergeant attitude. If you had more than two people talking at once, as often occurs at these committee meetings, Janine would put a stop to that right away. So that's quite an impressive record, wouldn't you think, of service to the Canyon Lake community. So Janine, please step forward and receive your award as Canyon Lake's Member of the Month.
I know. All right, next up is our community patrol update. So Ken and Zach, welcome.
Good evening. Tonight, I kind of want to follow up on last month's board meeting in regards to the school buses. For the last month of August, we went ahead and followed around the school buses with our patrol units, investing about an hour and a half in the morning, hour and a half in the afternoon, following these school buses and ensuring that people are stopping for that school bus. I am proud to announce we issued 0 citations last month for that. So thank you, everybody. And I just want to go ahead and remind everybody that we will still continue to be following them. So just since we got 0 last month, let's try to go for 2 months in a row. But I do want to give everybody that fair heads up.
Yeah, now they work. Great. How's everybody doing? Just a couple of bullet pointed things from my desk today. We have the new speed trailer, one of the new speed trailers on North Causeway. And during the month of August, we printed up and sent out 120 usable citations from that speed trailer. And I want to tell you that the vast majority of those citations went to guests and service providers. And that's just a statistic that I thought about for a while. And I was like, when you own something, when it's your house, you have a sense of ownership and you obviously care about that. So it appears that our members have slowed down on the causeway. However, you may want to tell your friends that come to visit and your service providers that you're still responsible for that citation. And a couple people were over 20 miles over the speed limit. And that becomes reckless driving, and that's a ginormous citation to get on a nice summer day. So just FYI, some good news, some bad news, but it is working wonderfully. The pictures are very clear, and the little speed is sitting right there next to the picture of the cars that go by too fast. So another thing I wanted to touch on was abandoned vehicles. We've had a few calls recently of abandoned vehicles or vehicles that seem to have spider webs under them and all. Feel free to call the community patrol. They'll come out, investigate the vehicle. They'll cite the vehicle. Cobwebs are a real quick identifier that it's been there for a while. We've been successful in contacting the owners and having them remove these cars from the community without having to tow them. And that's been great. That's given the courtesy call. And some of these people didn't know, again, that their guest had left a vehicle over there longer than it should have been. And since it's still attached to their house, they were semi-responsible. So they were very motivated to call their friend and say, come get your car out of the neighborhood because it can't be here anymore. That's all I have for today, this month.
A couple of questions on your report that's on in the package. Again, so we said most of the speeding ones, at least on the North Causeway, are service providers and guests. But if I look at our package, it says in the community patrol report, it says our member citations for July were 117 and guests were 64. So what's the disconnect there?
So what Ken just reported on was strictly speed trailer citations. What the community patrol monthly report is showing is everything that the patrol officer and the community patrol team has been doing themselves and reporting on. So the member citations is what was issued by patrol officers.
Thank you, Zach. And then the other question is, e-bike citations are up 37 in the last month, 34 the month before. So what are most of those citations for?
Everything. And it depends on where you are at the time. I'll tell you that if you're at the gate coming in on an e-bike and you don't have a tag, you have to tell us where you live before we let you in the community. That's what the gate is for. And once we realize that you haven't registered your bike, you get a citation for not registering your bike. Or if you're in the community and, I don't know, maybe you cut off a guy driving down the street and he's got a dash cam and my email address, I get a copy of that film and we are able to identify him, we'll send in a citation for that. We have many people that call in and give us information, and people that send video and send photographs. We do have enough photographs collected that, we kind of know who these little kids are. And we have some members of Zach's team who work very closely with these youngsters, know a lot of them by name. So the reason there's such an uptick isn't because there's more violations. It's we have the ability to react better because we've accumulated information over the last couple of years.
And then the last comment is, one of the things, if you look at the trends, failure to stop at a stop sign, we continue to hover around 60 to 70 a month. And I guess I'm concerned in a community that we aren't doing better. Usually, typically, when we have enforcement, we tend to see a decrease in bad behaviors. I know that's one that I see, definitely try not to do, but particularly for people turning right on at main intersections, that tends to be where it happens a lot. I want to, again, encourage diligence from our members and guests and everyone to please stop at the stop signs. Any other questions, comments, board members? Audience? Rob, come on up.
Good evening. Just a quick question, 3777012. You mentioned service providers and also guests, but what about, I see a lot of Amazon drivers failing to yield or stop, perhaps UPS, Uber Eats, I'm not sure, all the above. Do we have something that we do to these big companies that way, I don't know, something different that needs to be done, I think?
Great question. I've been taking, and we both have been taking serious look at that. We know, and we've been collecting these. So there's different things you mentioned. There's the Amazon trucks. They're easy. because we know where to find those guys. It's the subcontractors who do Walmart, Uber Eats, or name one of them. And so those are the ones that are more difficult. We're not citing the member for those because they kind of can't control that. What we are doing though is collecting them. And when we see a pattern with one driver, we'll address that driver and say, you're very close to not being allowed in the community unless you're on somebody's guest list. We did do that with a pizza delivery person. They ran a stop sign 2 nights in a row and they don't deliver pizzas here anymore. So when we see the pattern, we absolutely do take care of that. And just from a statistical standpoint, very few of them hit the speed trailer. Very few delivery drivers hit the speed trailer. I was surprised. I was ready to see a lot more than I did.
All right. Thank you, Ken, Zach. Appreciate it. We have no other announcements tonight. Do we have any member comments on non-agenda items?
No, Mr. President, we have no comments.
Yes. All right. So moving on, since we only have 25 items on the agenda today, do we have a motion to approve consent agenda, which has 4 items on it today?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor of approving the consent agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right.
Hearing 4 in favor, motion carries.
Tiffany, you're the star of the show today. Come on up.
Hello, everybody. I'm so happy these are working. You've got me for 5 items. So it's a long time to yell. Okay, so the first item is a 28-day reading for General Rule 2.9 and General Rule 2.21. Legal counsel had suggested updates to strengthen our rules and clarify enforcement, which was then sent to the Rules and Regulations Review Committee for review. This proposal includes revising General Rule 2.9 to cover disturbances and nuisances and restating General Rule 2.21 as meeting conduct with an added section for meeting recordings and reproductions. This was already our policy, but putting it in our rules makes it clear and enforceable and helps prevent disruptions during our meetings that are already recorded and posted on our website and our YouTube page. It's recommended that the Board of Directors approves the 28-day reading to amend General Rule 2.9 and General Rule 2.21.
Thanks, Tiffany. Is there a motion to approve this 28-day reading?
Motion. Second.
We have a first and a second. Any member comments or questions about this rule? Board member comments or questions?
I just want to clarify for everybody, this is already a policy. There's a lot of comments online, if you will, a lot of confusion. Our meetings are all recorded. It's available to the public. This is to prevent disruptions, and it's been a policy for quite some time. It's really not a change. We're just consolidating rules and policies. So instead of having to read a 200-page rule book when you come in here, you only have to read 195 pages.
Yeah, to add on that, I know some of the a number of comments have been come forward with, hey, you can't restrict someone from recording a public meeting. Well, first of all, this isn't public; it's to our members. Second of all, we already do record it, and the reason being is particularly when we have large meetings, like we had a couple that were 300 people or so in here. When you have several people who are popping up and taking video and so forth, it is very disruptive to the others. Again, the full recording is available online. We record it and put it on YouTube for everyone to see. So it isn't restricting any rights, but it is just providing a better environment for everyone in the audience as well. Okay, all in favor of approving this 28-day reading, say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed?
Hearing 4 in favor, motion carries.
Okay, our next one is for the Parks and Beaches rule modifications. The Rules and Regulations Review Committee was asked to look at the rules document to recommend ways to streamline it. I think Jeff kind of just mentioned that. Most recently, the committee reviewed the Parks and Beaches section. This proposal removes rules that are already covered under our general rules, relocates rules that better fit in that section, and eliminates items that function more as policies and rules. This has been one of our biggest initiatives with the rules committee is that we have a lot of policies in the rules document. One rule is also being revised to clarify reservation requirements for larger group functions. From a fiscal standpoint, removing parks and beaches 2.6 and 2.7 would eliminate their $100 fines but they're also already enforced under the general rules, which has the same fine amount. It's recommended that the board approve the 28-day reading as presented to modify the parks and beaches section.
We have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Member comments? Board member comments? All in favor of approving this 28-day reading, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Hearing four in favor, motion carries.
Okay, next up, 8.3. This is another consolidation. So the Rules and Regulations Review Committee reviewed the activities section, and they're recommending its removal. This entire section outlines our internal procedures, such as facility reservations, banner posting, event coordination, which are all not enforceable rules. These provisions are already covered in our updated facility use policy, which serves as our recreation's guiding document for reservable spaces. And there's no fiscal impact on this. It's recommended that the Board of Directors approves the 28-day reading to remove the activities section from the rules and regulations.
All right, do we have a motion to approve this 28-day reading?
Motion.
Second.
All right. Member comments? Board comments? All in favor of approving item 8.3, 28-day reading, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Are there any opposed?
Hearing four in favor, motion carries.
Okay, 8.4, this is removing the community garden section. So this is another section that's heavy processes, heavy duplication in the general rules. There are only actually a few garden-specific requirements, such as plant restrictions, upkeep, and compost disposal, which is now being enforced through our annual plot application process. Removing this section would eliminate 3 $100 fines, but they're very rarely used, if ever at all, because our patrol actually is not sure what to look for on the plant restrictions and compost disposal. So it's recommended that the board approve the 28-day reading to remove the community garden section from the rules and regulations.
All right, do we have a motion to approve this 28-day reading?
Motion.
Second.
All right. Any member comments? Yes. Well, welcome back, Mr. Papavero. It isn't a garden without Chris Papavero. That's what I've heard.
2974-018. So this is in regards to the garden club or the garden plots. We, as a club, we try to kind of help everybody to maintain everything. But the one thing that I'd like to add, and I don't know if this is the right place to do it, we've had some people that have rented their plots, but they've never planted anything. So I didn't know if we could actually add a rule saying that, you know, whatever, if you buy a plot, you have a couple of months to plant something. So I don't know if this is the right venue, but since it was the garden club being brought up, I figured this is as good a time as any.
I think this is mainly focused on streamlining our rule book that our rules committee has done for the last couple of years. That is something we could take under consideration though.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for bringing it up. Any other comments? It is, yeah. All in favor of approving this 28-day reading, say aye.
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 Any opposed?
Hearing four in favor, motion carries.
Okay, last one for right now. The Rules and Regulations Review Committee reviewed the member services section of the rules and regulations, similar to the other two before. They're recommending removal. This section covers operational processes such as our guest access permits, ID cards. None of them are enforceable rules, and they're already managed through our departmental procedures, forms, and policies, which are available on our website. There is no fiscal impact, and it's recommended that the board approve the 28-day reading to remove the member services section from the rules and regulations.
All right, do we have a motion for this 28-day reading?
Motion.
I'll second it. Any member comments? Any board comments? I just want to thank Tiffany and the Rules Committee that has been through this Herculean task for the last couple of years of streamlining. And I think it's actually more than 10 pages we're taking out. We're taking on an awful lot of pages. So I know one of the daunting things when we moved into the community is you get this rule book like this that I'll admit I didn't read all the way through. And now it'll be a little easier to do that. So thank you for that hard work. All in favor of approving this 28-day reading, say aye.
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 Any opposed?
Hearing four in favor, motion carries.
Thank you, Tiffany.
Hello, everybody. So the Canyon Lake POA has adopted a policy allowing the removal of vehicles from POA property which are abandoned or in violation of this policy. Due to some very strict legal requirements for towing vehicles, the POA must update the rules in this document regarding the possible towing of these vehicles. There are 9 rules. I'm not going to read all of them. It's just a bunch of alphabet soup there for you. But all of these rules have had some minor adjustments to allow us to tow vehicles on those very, very rare occasions where we would have to. So it is recommended that the board approves the 28-day read of the rule, amending these rules for that purpose.
Do we have a motion for this 28-day reading?
Motion.
Second.
Member comments or questions? Board comments, questions?
I just want to point out that some of these rules, some of the people, once again, public comments that we see online, they feel that the POA is just making up rules. These are safety related. When vehicles are sitting out there, abandoned, sitting around, those are safety issues. And I appreciate the work you're doing, Ken, to help make things safer around here.
Thank you, sir.
I would like to ask one question, Ken, and that is, how prevalent is this issue?
Well, sir, in the year and a few months that I've been here, I've only had to tow one vehicle and I was forced to do it. It was a very unique situation. And I don't even think that particular situation would present itself again. However, as I stated earlier, I am getting some feedback from the community that these vehicles are there and it's only a matter of time before we're gonna need to do this.
Okay, so we are seeing more more reports of complaints or issues associated with it.
Yes, but as I said, I was able to navigate those without having to worry with the tow, but eventually push is going to come to shove.
All right, all in favor of approving this 28-day reading, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Hearing four in favor, motion carried.
Thank you, Ken. All right, Susan's not here. Someone presenting for Susan or am I?
Me. I will take care of it.
You got it. Perfect.
Okay.
Andrea, go ahead.
So just to be transparent, we are going to make an annual income tax payments and we are looking for the board to approve that. So in compliance with Civil Code 5502 and prudent fiscal management, it's recommended that the tax payments be approved by the board of directors as attached.
All right, I will make the motion that we should pay our taxes. Does anyone else second it?
Second.
Okay, any member comments? Board comments? Roll call.
Director Doherty,
Aye.
Director Medved,
Aye.
Director Bill,
Aye.
President Van Vliet.
Aye.
Hearing four in favor, motion carried.
Thank you, Andrea. All right, Tiffany, come on back. We missed you.
I asked Andrea to put me in order so I could just do like 7 of them all right away. Okay, so this is garage sale permit policy. So this is in alignment with the member services section removal that I presented earlier. This is part of the member services section, and we just want to create independent policy for our garage sale procedures since they would be removed from that section. There's no fiscal impact with this change, and it is recommended that the board approve the garage sale permit policy.
We have a motion
Motion.
and a second.
Second.
Member comments or questions? Board comments or questions? All in favor of approving a garage sale permit policy, say aye.
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 Any opposed?
Hearing four in favor, motion carries.
I feel like everybody loves policies tonight. The next one is a guest access policy, similar to the one just before. It was part of the member services section. So since we're pulling it out of that section, we want to create a policy that can let our members know what our guest access policy is. It can be posted on our website. So it would cover things like guest types, pre-authorization, holiday restrictions, and generally how to use our Go Access system. There is no fiscal impact, and it's recommended that the board approve the guest access policy.
A motion for the guest access policy.
Motion.
Second.
Member comments? Board comments?
Just a quick question. There's no change in the policies that exist today. We're trying to reduce and simplify. Is that accurate?
Yeah, that's correct. The guest access policy was updated to reflect that we are now using the Go Access software. And then also, I don't believe our service provider restrictions were in the original guest access section of the member services rules. So that's also in here.
All right, thank you.
All in favor of approving the guest access policy, say aye.
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 Any opposed?
Hearing four in favor, motion carried.
All right. Item 10 is mine, fine schedule. So most of you are probably aware that there are our state government passed Assembly Bill 130 and I think Senate Bill 831, something like that, 631. Which changed a lot of rules associated with homeowners associations. And what it specifically did was said anything that is not health and safety related cannot impose a fine of greater than $100. It says for fines that are related to health and safety, they can still be applied at a higher rate. So we have a resolution that basically we've gone through it with legal, we've gone through it with staff, and we've gone through all of our rule book and gone through all of the fines and adjusted them accordingly to be compliant with state law. And so we are presenting a resolution to approve the revised fine schedule that is compliant with current state law. I'll make the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Any member questions or comments about this? Board comments or questions? All right. Well, we're gonna.
Actually, I would want to make one comment on these, the rules and regulations as a, or the fines for the AB 130 things that came across. We spent a lot of time on this. We didn't just arbitrarily, right? We didn't just arbitrarily said this one yes, this one no. We spent time with legal. We spent time amongst ourselves discussing each individual fine. So it wasn't just it was a heavyweight exercise that we took on. And that's really all I want to say to that.
All in favor of approving the fine schedule, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Hearing four in favor, motion carries.
Along with that, we're going to now sign the resolution and pass that along. Next one is page 103 of our book. So the next one is, as we are amending the proposal to amend General Rules G 3.1 and GC 4.4, which has to do with members in good standing. And so the amended rule, in order to qualify as a member in good standing, members must not have any of the following charges or violations against any of their properties. Either no unpaid fines, no past due assessments, late charges, installment charges, interest or related charges, no CC&R or any operating rule violations, which include lakeside violations, which have been through due process and remain in a state of noncompliance. Failure to maintain membership in good standing may result in suspension and or a revocation of common area recreational amenity use privileges, including, but without limitation, boating, happy camp, equestrian, golf field, golf course, golf cart registration, guest fishing permits, reservable parks and beaches, tennis courts, meeting and or banquet rooms, committee and club membership. Uh, I will make the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Member questions or comments on that item? Board member questions or comments? All in favor of approving the amendment of General Rules G 3.1 and GC 4.4, say aye.
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 Are there any opposed?
Hearing four in favor, motion carries.
Mary, come on up, please.
Good evening, everybody. So this is for a GR 3.8 approval for leases. The Canyon Lake POA's legal counsel identified the need to update the language pertaining to lease agreements. Based on their recommendation, the following sentence will be added to GR 3.8. No separate interest or any party thereof may be leased for a period of less than 30 days or more than 1 year per tenant access form. In line with this update, the CLPOA will also revise the name of lease authorization form to a tenant access form. Consistent with legal counsel's guidance, all corresponding references throughout the rules and regulations document will be updated to reflect this change. It is recommended that the Board of Directors approve to update GR 3.8 leases as attached.
Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Member comments or questions? Board members, comments or questions? Nope. All in favor of approving,
Aye.
say aye.
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 Any opposed?
Hearing four in favor, motion carries.
GR 6.4 permanent guest list for approval. In 2023, the Board of Directors voted to transition from a permanent guest list to an annual guest list policy. This change has since been implemented, and as a result, the previous rule is now obsolete and should be removed. It is recommended that the Board of Directors approve to remove GR 6.4 guest list as attached.
Is there a motion to approve this permanent guest list removal?
Motion.
Second.
Okay. Member comments? Board comments? If they're permanent guests, are they your children? If we get rid of permanent guests, do we get rid of our children? No. Okay. All in favor of approving the removal of the permanent guest list, rule say aye.
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 Hearing four in favor, motion carries.
All right.
LM 4.1 and LM 4.2 temporary launch pass for approval. Historically, boating launch passes were issued by member services on behalf of Marine Patrol, which often led to communication gaps between the two departments. To improve efficiency and streamline the process, Marine Patrol has assumed responsibility for issuing launch passes directly. This change allows for safety inspection to be conducted at the time the pass is issued, ensuring better compliance and customer service. It is recommended the Board of Directors approve to revise LM 4.1 and 4.2 temporary boat launch pass as attached.
Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Member comments? No member comments? Board comments? None? All in favor of approving this change, as we discussed in the 28-day reading last month, say aye.
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 Are there any opposed?
Hearing four in favor, motion carried.
Thank you, Mary. Steve?
No, me.
Andrea?
so we're looking for approval for our general rule 6.2 identification policy that we had a 28-day reading for last month. It's establishing a formal requirement that all persons entering the community be listed on a Canyon Lake POA members guest list and possess a valid identification to define who is authorized to be in our community. It's recommended that the Board of Directors approve to modify General Rule 6.2 identification policy.
Is there a motion to approve this new general rule?
Motion.
I'll second it. Any member comments or questions? Looks like we got one coming forward.
Hello, 3868045. More for clarification, I believe. The way the rule reads, or the proposed change, all non-residents entering Canyon Lake. I guess my question involves you have a party, you have a guest list for, say, the husband, he's bringing his wife and his children to our party. The way I read this, it says that the child, the wife, everybody in that car has to have an ID. So just more clarification if you could.
Yeah, thanks, Terry. That is a common confusion that we've had comments on. We had it during the 28-day reading. This is the intent of this ruling is for the operator of the vehicle. Okay, and the reason for this put in place is if you come into the community with an e-bike and you are the operator of the e-bike, you have to provide identification. Okay, so if you're in a car and you've got your family in the car, it's just the operator of the vehicle that is required to have it. Okay. But thank you. It's a common question we've had. Any other questions from the audience? Board members, comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Hearing four in favor, motion carried.
Now, Steve.
Good evening. This is some appointment recommendations for work group, the Equestrian Work Group Board. The Equestrian Work Group interview team consists of 2 board members and a staff member. Those unanimously voted to appoint the following members to the EWG board: Amanda Lada, Gina Hipsick, Michelle Stubbs, Rick Rosa. It is recommended the board of directors approve the appointments listed above to the Equestrian Work Group contingent upon execution of a confidentiality agreement effective immediately.
Do we have a motion for the EWG members?
Motion.
Second.
Any member comments or questions? Board comments?
Just want to say these members, I was involved with the interviews, very well qualified. Lainey's not here tonight, and she kind of headed this up, and I would like to say that she did a great job. This work group is, I'm looking forward to a lot of stuff happening over there at the Equestrian Center. And like I said, Lainey's done a great job of working with this group and getting these things going. And it was my privilege to talk to these people, and it's really great to see the community involvement. And I know most of you that are here get involved with the community, but it would be great to see even more involvement, such as this work group. But I'm very happy that these people are here.
Yeah, I'll echo. I was impressed with the resumes of the people. I wasn't involved in the interviews, but the fact that we have some trainers and some people who are very well versed in the equestrian community, it's good. This is a good step, and we look forward to them having a positive impact. So, good move as well. All in favor of approving the equestrian work group, say aye.
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 Are there any opposed?
Hearing four in favor, motion carries.
Next up is a committee appointment to the Lake Advocacy Committee for the chair. The LAC interview team consists of 2 board members and 2 staff members unanimously voted to appoint Joe Gully to the LAC chairperson. It is recommended that the board of directors approve the appointment of Joe Gully as the Lake Advocacy Committee chairperson.
Do we have a motion for this?
Motion.
I'll second it. Member comments or questions? Board member comments or questions? I know I was involved with these interviews, and I was very impressed with Joe, and you even got a second from our experts in the field. So I think we're in good hands. So all in favor of approving Joe as the chairperson, say aye.
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 Are any opposed?
Hearing four in favor, motion carried.
Next up, we have another committee appointment. This is for the Recreation Committee. Paul Hawker and Linda Endu have been selected for the open positions on the Recreation Committee. The Recreation Committee interviewed and accepted these members. It is recommended the Board of Directors approve the appointment of Paul Hawker and Linda Endu to the Recreation Committee contingent upon execution of a confidentiality agreement effective immediately.
Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Member comments, questions? Board member comments, questions? All in favor of approving these committee members, say aye.
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 Are there any opposed?
Hearing four in favor, motion carried.
Another committee appointment for the Green Committee. There are currently 3 open positions on the Green Committee. Edward Reyes has served on the Green Committee as an alternate member. The committee has voted and recommends moving him to the regular position onto the committee. It is recommended that the Board of Directors approve this appointment to make him a regular member of the committee.
Do we have a motion? I'll move. Is there a second?
Second.
Member comments or questions? Board comments? All in favor of approving Eddie, say aye.
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 Any opposed?
Hearing four in favor, motion carried.
You're on a roll, Steve. Keep going.
Okay, all approvals. Last one I have is another committee appointment for the Facilities Planning Committee. The FPC has 3 openings. Chris Pullen has been selected for an open position on the Facilities Planning Committee. It is recommended the Board of Directors appoint Chris Pullen to the FPC committee contingent upon execution of a confidentiality agreement effective immediately.
Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Member comments, questions? Board comments? All in favor of approving Chris, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed?
Hearing four in favor, motion carried.
Item 21 of 25. It is. Ken.
Hello again. The Appeals Committee is composed of 5 members and 1 alternate. Currently, there's 1 alternate position open. The Appeals Committee met with Jason Ashwell and have recommended him to be appointed as the alternate member of the committee. It is recommended that the committee approve this appointment.
Is there a motion to approve this?
Motion.
Second.
Any member comments? Board comments? All in favor of approving this appeals member, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Hearing four in favor, motion carried.
Ken, why don't we, since instead of getting up and down, why don't you just go right to 8.24?
I was hoping you were going to say that. Thank you very much. I'll just go to my next one. The Security Advisory Committee is composed of 5 members and 2 alternates. The Security Advisory Committee met with and are recommending the following people to be appointed as listed below. For membership would be Ryan Sampson and Cody Aldaco. Alternate members would be Stanley Young and Kyle Egger.
Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Any member comments? Questions? Please come forward. We can't, otherwise the people on video can't hear you, Kathy.
It is. We are removing 1 member.
Member comments? Questions? All in favor of approving the Security Advisory Committee, say aye.
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 Are there any opposed?
Hearing four in favor, motion carries.
Thank you, Ken. All right, Mary. Last shot.
This is an appointment for the Rules and Regulation or Rules Review Committee. Eddie Valdez has since resigned from the Rules Review Committee. David Netting has been selected to fill the resulting vacancy. The Rules Review Committee unanimously approved to appoint David Netting during their last monthly meeting on August 19th, recognizing his continuous involvement with the committee. It is recommended the Board of Directors approve David Netting as a member to the Rules Review Committee contingent upon execution of confidentiality agreement effective immediately.
Do we have a motion for the Rules and Regulations Committee appointment? I'll move. Is there a second?
Second.
Any member comments or questions? Board comments? All in favor of approving the Rules and Regulation Committee members, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Are there any opposed?
Hearing four in favor, motion carries.
Thank you, Mary. Thank you all staff members for hanging with us tonight. Andrea, why don't you wrap up the item 8 of the agenda for us, please?
Okay, so our annual approval will be of the committee members that are already on the committees. We want to just reappoint them for the year. And so we just want to have the board approve the appointments and of the members and the chairpersons that are currently on the committees as attached in the list.
Do we have a motion for the annual committee member appointments?
Second.
Motion and second. Perfect. Member comments? Board comments? I will add one comment. There are a few committees that still have openings. And so we still will continue to take applications for the committees that do have some openings. I know there's still some interviews going on and that will be finished, but for the rest, they are included. All in favor of approving the master list of committee member appointments, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Hearing four in favor, motion carries.
All right, thank you. Thank you all for that. Board liaison, it's been a long night. Let's go quickly through our board liaison committee reports. Greg?
Thank you, Bill. As liaison to the Recreation Committee, I'd like to report that we met in September and discussed assisting in some of the winter and holiday events we have coming up. Also, someone came up with a brilliant observation that there's no curb cut to Evans Park, which would be very convenient for people that are handicapped or whatever. So we're looking at that, which makes me comment about, and what I always say about the rec committee is that it's these little things that count that people bring to the committee and say, I noticed this, and what's a curb cut going to cost? Probably close to nothing. So those are the kind of things that we do, and it's very heartwarming to see the members bring those kind of recommendations. We did elect a new committee member, and I'm very pleased that Paul and Linda were affirmed tonight as officially on the committee. So that's great too. We meet again in October. I mentioned last month that we are looking at some kind of sign at Happy Camp. That was sent to the board. The board sent it back with a few comments, and so that's an ongoing thing. But so we're working on some sort of sign at Happy Camp, probably ideally visible from the lodge, visible obviously from the lake, but something that will really set Happy Camp off as something special. Thank you.
So let's see. As the liaison to the security committee, we are revamping a few things. In the past, we focused a lot on the data and the security contracts. We've wrapped up a lot of that. So moving forward, the board is looking at a new focus on enforcement. We're looking into RFID programs for the e-bikes. We're doing exploratory movements towards security protocols at the entrances. There are a lot of things that are more involved on the enforcement and regulation side than what we've done in the past. So, and that's why we've made some of the changes we did on the SAC. On the FPC, there's a few little projects. We're moving more towards a maintenance role. For example, if some of you have noticed driving around here at night, the street signs, the reflectivity isn't what it once was. So they are looking into areas to address, such as replacing those street signs, moving into some of the other areas along that, just for safety and maintenance. So that's really all there is right now.
Thanks, Jeff. Just a couple for me. The senior center, the senior work group meets monthly. They will meet next Tuesday. They have a catered potluck dinner that will be the last Sunday in September. It is open to seniors in the community. If you sign up, they will be bratwurst that'll cooked by the clams. So that's available to members if you're interested in participating. I missed the last Green Committee meeting. They always continue to do good work on the golf course. So with that, I'll pass it over to Bill.
So I'm the liaison for the Lake Advocacy Committee. It's been a long day, sorry. We had our first meeting last week. It was really stunning to see all these people that are passionate about the lake. We have three primary focuses: education. We're already starting to work on member education. We're already starting to work on some articles that you'll see coming out. Advocacy, what meetings we can attend so we can start having influence inside and outside of our community. And what do we want to track going forward? So GEI gave a great presentation tonight. There's a lot of emphasis right now on the lake. We want to make sure that lasts over time, right? It's kind of like something that, if the lake problems go away for a year or two, maybe we don't pay attention to it as much as we do. No, we want to make sure we keep that alive. So a lot of energy there, brand new community. Like I said earlier, Joe's been nominated and validated as chair. Appreciate his commitment to the committee. Finance committee, we have brought on 3 new members. We have 3 major initiatives on the finance committee, which we're making great progress on. Compliments to Susan Daewoo and the team. We're trying to get a high-level dashboard that'll show you on one page how we are positioned fiscally within the POA, as opposed to 250 Excel sheets. And we're making some good progress there. I really like where they're going. There's a team that Ed, who's a member of the finance committee, and 2 of our newer team members. We're trying to get an HOA benchmark of 5, 6 POA. Well, I was informed today it was 6 POAs that are kind of similar to what we have here at Canyon Lake. So we can start doing things like looking at, okay, how much amenities are costing, what's the year-over-year cost compared to some other comparable POAs, et cetera. And one of the things we started doing last year is the year-over-year recommendation for the budget, because you know what? Budget season's coming up. We're already starting to, sharpen our pencils there. And, we're going to add a couple more small, I wouldn't say small, but a couple more details in our recommendations to the board and the staff about what we think our year-over-year expense growth should be. So one last plug. The Finance Committee and the Lake Advocacy Committee, with the help from IT, we have now established SharePoint sites. So what's going on, the committees are collaborating online. Instead of what we don't want is everybody goes away for a month, comes back to a committee meeting, and kind of gets entertained for an hour and a half. We've asked those committees to actually step up, put some time in, and do some work and collaborate on some of these assignments in between the committee meetings. And that's all I have.
I'll add just one more thing, and that is we share the duty, because one of the hardest working committees, in fact, I think it is the hardest working committee we have in the community, is our Architectural Control Committee, and it's such a burden that they meet twice a week to go over all the approvals for for anything that's doing with the outside of your home. So all 5 directors share the responsibility of that, and we couldn't do it without the hard work of that committee. So thank you guys, Dave and your team, for doing that. With that, Eric, you want to give us an update, general manager update?
Yes, thank you. First of all, I apologize for the audio issues. I don't want to point any fingers, but there's about 20 things connected to this system. And when we unplugged Andrea's laptop, it started working again. So nothing against you, but something going on with your laptop. So we tested it this morning without the laptop. And so go figure. Anyway, we apologize for that. It's a new system. So we have explicit instructions about how to set this up, and still working some kinks out. Yep. So a few highlights from the staff reports. Rec department is busy planning for the fall season. Upcoming is the 9/11 Patriots Day tribute, the Canyon Lake Car Show, one of my favorites, the Tree Lighting Festival. In the month of August alone, our recreation department supported 172 scheduled functions, including 54 club events. And so behind the scenes, all of our departments are very busy supporting the members of the POA and the clubs and the many, many things that happen here. For projects, our Galt Field LED lighting conversion is complete. I also see that we're scheduling to work on the clay and leveling the fields. So Galt Field got a lot of attention this year, and looking pretty good over there. Tennis court resurfacing is also complete, and I think we're turning the courts over this week? Today, okay. Pretty close. So that's another nice improvement for the tennis community, something we do every probably 4 or 5 years, 5 years. Our year 3 paving project, we have a pre-construction meeting tomorrow morning with our is it tomorrow morning? Yes, okay. And we're looking at an October start, last I heard, so we'll be meeting with them tomorrow and finalize those details. Our motorcycle parking project at the main gate, construction is underway, and we will be working with the motorcycle owners and members to relocate their motorcycles while the fencing and striping are installed. And we should be wrapping that project up end of this month or beginning of next month. So in the coming weeks, be a nice improvement for the motorcycle owners. And one last thing, we're running a promotion at Happy Camp. If you book any Friday and Saturday, we'll give you a Thursday or Sunday night for free. So it's been a little slow over there, and we're just trying to get a little traction in the kind of the off season. So buy 2, get 1 free. And that's all I had tonight. Thanks for coming and staying for 25 items.
Thanks, Eric. All right, parting board comments. Bill, lead us off.
I think there's a lot of moving pieces to running a POA, and I feel more in touch with that than I did 6 months ago when I ran. So I can tell you, and I can promise you, we're all doing the best we can. There's a lot of work. This AB 130 thing where they changed the level of the fines. You know, we looked at every single regulation with a line item with every single one. And we're very committed and passionate about doing the right thing for the POA.
Well, I won't get into too much because I'm pretty sure you all don't want to hang out and listen to me ramble. But I did want to let you know, being a gearhead, October 4th, Canyon Lake Car Show. Come on out, tell your friends. We still have room for more cars to register. Last I heard a few weeks ago, we're only halfway there. They've got room for, I think, 200 cars. We only got about 100. So that'll be October 4th. And that's really all I have because I don't really pay attention to everybody else, just cars.
I would like to, congratulate the committee members that were affirmed tonight. Thank you for volunteering. And I would like to make a comment about all the committees and thank them all for their service. They're one of the backbones. They're not the backbone, but one of the backbones of this community. And Lord knows that this board can never do it and think of all the support and provide all the support that the committees do. Even with our highly paid salaries, we couldn't do it. And we have 2 new, one committee and the Lake Advocacy Committee and the Equestrian Work Group now formed. And thank you to those folks for stepping up and volunteering and helping us in those areas. So again, thank you to all the committee members for all the work that you do. It's very much appreciated. Thank you.
I'll just close with, every time I think about this place, I look at this beautiful picture behind us, Canyon Lake, and we are so blessed to live in this beautiful community with such great people. It's so mine is just of appreciation. It takes a partnership. It takes a partnership of of our board. It takes a partnership of the great management and staff that we've got here. It's a partnership with the people who helped us with a difficult situation with the lake this year, right? With Lejoie, with the water district, with the city and so forth. And it's, it really is, it's the village that makes us what we are. And we're a really special place. So I'm very thankful for everyone's efforts, for everyone's help, and for everyone's contributions. With that, is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor of adjourning, say aye.
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 Thank you, Canyon Lake. Good night. We'll see you in October.